Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Okay. So, yeah, how to follow that, Chris? Thank you very much. I haven't got any jokes. I'm not that funny. So the requirement of offices has been heavily debated by many businesses, individuals, industry leaders, and there is a real polarized divide of opinions. The offices are dead, with the great resignation of employees spreading throughout the UK and globally, whilst many still value an office to provide that space for productivity and collaboration. And some individuals simply believe that people just need to get back to work, as if working remotely, we haven't been working at all. But what is evident is that the future of offices is pivoting from work to people. So what do I mean by this? So working from home has been unwelcome for some. Young people are wanting to get back in the office, climb that career ladder, and they've lacked the opportunity to learn from others. And they're having a real tough time getting noticed in their work environment. So those who work by collaboration are missing that spark of creativity and sharing the same space. And some live in unhappy homes or without the enough space to work in. And they're simply lonely in the absence of stimulus of work and co-workers. So many of you that have tasted the freedom of flexibility and home working are willing to quit and strike out for that better work-life balance, rather than return to the commute and the rat race. So what has actually been happening locally? Have businesses been downsizing their office requirements? And how are they balancing hybrid working? And how do we expect hybrid, and whether we expect hybrid to stay? So before I explain this slide, I just want to get a show of hands. How many of you are actually back in the office full time? Oh, quite a few of you. And how many are doing this hybrid 2-3 days? And how many of you are actually fully remote? Okay, that's interesting. So a real mixture, but it is all dependent on what industry you're in, the position of your company, and your company's culture and values, and whether you're back in the office full-time or part-time. But let us not confuse that working in an office full-time or part-time doesn't mean your work productivity, as many have been working hybrid actually for quite some time. And those that are actually working remotely or hybrid are working way above your 37 hours a week, and some are experiencing that sheer burnt out and even working whilst they're poorly. So as much as we love the concept of working from home, which the majority of us have had to adapt to, it's becoming really increasingly challenging to sustain this long term. So many of us are social animals, and we crave that human interaction where we can thrive as a community with like-minded individuals. And as you can see, that obviously through the media headlines, this keeps on changing from time to time. So the future look of offices, how it looks now to what it did pre-lockdown, we have to think about it's about quality rather than quantity, and working smarter, not harder. So as you can imagine, the take-up figures in 2021 are an improvement from 2020, given that we were in lockdown for a majority of the year. However, there are still significantly pre-lockdown numbers, as many businesses are trying to navigate to find their way and actually understand how much space do they actually need. So when we conducted a survey to the local agents across the South Coast, majority responded that most of the inquiries that they had received were actually due to downsizing. So typically across the South Coast, the stats have been monitored above 5,000 square feet, but with the 74 transactions we're aware of, totaling about 355,000, only 30% of those were over 5,000 square feet. So the reduction of overall size requirements has led to an increase in demand for flexible offices, bespoke floor plates. And unfortunately, the cost implications for traditional landlords to subdivide, install sub-meters and create space that allows for flexibility to meet the occupier requirement does not allow for flexible leases. Because when occupiers are entering it, landlords are demanding heavy penalties should the occupiers operate the break. So this has resulted in a number of flex operators entering the South Coast market and offering space as a service, because they're not only able to provide bespoke space, but flexibility. So a number of these transactions are not readily on the open market. So the take-up does not paint a true reflection of what's happening across the South Coast. But what I can share with you is that Arena Business Centres is 70% occupied across 6 sites. Headspace are 95% full at full capacity in Southampton. This workspace are commencing their 3rd phase of refurbishment in Bournemouth, taking on another 30,000 square feet and looking to expand in Portsmouth. Inkerhive opened their 11th location and continue to expand across the region. Clockwise are opening 160 desks in Southampton in the new year, and then Regis and Spaces are 75% occupied across 7 centres. So each of these operators are offering something unique and providing many businesses space as a service, which ultimately ticks a lot of the key requirements, particularly when reducing operational needs. So they're focused on the brand, the community, events, team buildings, flexibility. Typically you have an office manager that will tick off compliance, first aid, fire warden, purchasing refreshments. And generally it's that bespoke space, so businesses can flex up and down depending on their business needs. And we're actually finding several corporates actually taking on space and partnering with a service provider, so they don't actually have to do any of the administration and operational needs. So you typically pay a higher rate per square foot as you're paying for flexibility, and it's a much more encompassing service. Most providers tend to work their space a bit harder, fitting in a larger number of desks into smaller areas, so 1 to 40 square feet, for example. So although it does appear that it's £25 per square foot more expensive, you're paying for flexibility with limited setup costs. So no deposit on some locations, management's all included, and you're paying for one fee. So many businesses believe because they operated 5,000 square feet historically, this is how much they require for a service office. So this resulting into a 26% increase in costs. However, they don't realise that they don't need an area for kitchens, breakout space, meeting rooms, and all of the shared communal areas. Therefore, they can reduce the square foot. So in terms of office rents across the South Coast, there's a real variety of rents from £7.50 per square foot for your basic space in rural locations, up to £27 per square foot for grade A space, all singing and dancing in well-located locations. But once you add in the service charge and rates, that's another £7 to £12, and then you've got the added cost of the running costs. So if you're an FD or an MD, you typically want to pay the lower rates. However, depending on the company, it may be difficult for you to attract the right employees if you're located in rural locations without amenities. So employees have become accustomed over the last 2 years with the home benefits, and their needs are driving that war for talent. People want flexibility. They want the ability to work from an office and from home, and they want that work-life balance. I don't know about you, but you generally are able to spend more time with your family, you don't have to do the commute, and you're able to balance it better. And the main thing is choice. So there are many companies that are willing to pay that top rent for the right building, particularly if it's very sustainable. Unfortunately, the South Coast has a real lack of quality grade A offices available, but the ones that are doing the top grades are able to command their higher rents. So in regards to this slide that I'm showing you, you can see that if we explore the rents throughout the whole of the UK, obviously we are significantly cheaper compared to London Central at £101.50 per square foot, Manchester at £37.50. Obviously, when you look at the South Coast, Southampton at 27, Winchester at 25, and Bournemouth 23, and Portsmouth at 21 per square foot. So there's a real opportunity to capture not occupiers located in the region, but looking at wider afield, because we're significantly cheaper. And the South Coast has the highest number of performing businesses in the UK and outside of London, and it's really known for its resilience and with strong growth, which makes it a stable place to invest. So co-working is the new kid on the block when it comes to office workspace. Co-working offers flexible workspace for freelancers, entrepreneurs, startups and small businesses. Also for companies that are looking to be distributed throughout the region, it works very well. So in a co-working space, there are many options, from hot desking to open plan environment, £75 per square foot to 150, dedicated desks for 175, private offices 300 to 450, and the cost really varies depending on the operators. So based on 62 staff, let's say for 5,000 square feet typically, you have the real ability to, if people are hybrid and working in the office 3 days a week and they're working from home 2 days a week, you can save almost 25% off your operational costs by going hybrid. And if you were to incorporate co-working space and actually have people that are just dropping into different centres, you can actually shave off another 68% off your operational costs. So there's this real opportunity for many businesses to save. And then with this in mind, obviously landlords are having to adapt what they're able to bring in to their facilities. So selecting a space that works for you and your business that can provide much more flexibility is going to be much more important. Sorry, I realised that these are the wrong slides, so bear with me. So yeah, we're acting for a number of corporates and their offices are being reassessed to adapt their real estate needs to accommodate their future requirements. We have a global client who they've basically decided not to downsize any of their property portfolio, and they're simply redesigning their space to allow for team meetings, collaboration, brainstorming and social time. The furnitures are all being put onto wheels so that they can narrate the right space for specific tasks and meetings. A challenge that management will face is to avoid too many meetings to justify the face time in the office. On the other side, we have a client who is downsizing their operations by 60% to accommodate hybrid working and focus on setting days of the week when they expect employees to be back in the office. And again, the next challenge is that if they're all expected on the same day, there's this real opportunity that actually, how are they going to manage high peak attendance? So returners are finding out that another challenge is making hybrid meetings work, where those in the rooms can be at marked advantage over those that are not. Advantages in getting the message across clearly and without barriers, in building support for arguments from others attending and reading body language and smoozing before and after the event. So reviewing your office, I'm going to challenge you to rephrase, what do you want your office to actually be? Because by doing so, you'll be able to draw a much clearer picture of what does your workspace look like and how can your business flourish, particularly when you're advising clients. So when was the last time you actually asked your team their opinion on where do they want to work? Because you then start to understand what's driving them, what's getting them going, and it's again about capturing that war for talent. Because people are your not so secret weapon behind your business. Therefore, we have to ensure we're giving them what they want, that they actually come back into your office. So how do you achieve that perfect environment? And the short answer is that there is no universal perfect workplace, but there is one that's right for every operation. So it's no longer just about offering free pizzas and beers or putting a shower in and a couple of bike racks. We've moved leaps and bounds, not only in terms of sustainability, but for wellness as well. So wellness in the workplace is one of the top topics that we're speaking to several of our clients right now. And it's more fundamental to our clients' objectives, even more so, particularly on the corporate level, who have that corporate social responsibility target. So did you know that we actually spend 90% indoors and 5% outdoors? which is actually really depressing. And I appreciate that we've been in here the whole day. So, but whether it's in cars, trains, we're spending a huge amount of time indoors. And to be like, I'm pretty shocked by those stats. So we all need to get outside. But I think, so designing a healthy building, it's all about how do we make those spaces thrive and the people thrive that are using them. So building wellness reflects the impact that physical workspace has on a person's physical and mental health. So for example, the lighting that we're using, the air quality, noise levels and materials that are used in a building. And although green buildings have become a must-have for many owners and occupiers in the bigger cities, with green buildings addressing environmental sustainability, building health and wellness focus specifically on human impacts. So a number of people would have experienced the effects of a sick building syndrome, where people have complained about headaches, itchy eyes, runny nose, due to poor lighting and ventilation. And obviously from the pandemic, it's even more evident now that people care about their health and well-being. So landlords and occupiers are having to invest in their buildings, and they've got to pay attention, because it's no longer about just the building that doesn't cause you harm. Because if your physical and social environment is your #1 determinant of your health, why would you not improve your health and well-being of the people that are in your business? So we have to design space with the end user in mind. So as Chris obviously mentioned earlier, data is king. Having monitoring sensors installed, which can be shared with the cleaner, for example, can help cleanliness, controlling the lighting to go with your circadian rhythm, and use capacity to understand how actually are you utilizing the building and optimizing the space. So some of you might think that's excessive, but how many of you actually have a fitness device? Show of hands. How many of you actually have a phone? Yeah, because all of it is all monitored on your phone in your health. So you can monitor how many steps you're taking. Everything is being tracked. And I know I have an Alexa at home which can turn on lights and music. We have a security system. I can watch my son when he's when I'm obviously away. He's 2, so it's not weird. Yeah. So yes, it's a little bit Big Brother, but technology has advanced so quickly, and we need to integrate this into our working environment. So the way we think of sustainability has changed. It's not just about reducing carbon emission or water efficiencies or biodiversity. It's all about the things, and much more why it's becoming so important is because businesses are looking at the environmental social governance framework. Sustainability has been easy to quantify over the years on how much energy is being used within your building, what is the carbon footprint. Whereas the social sustainability has been harder to quantify, but it looks at the health and well-being, the gender diversity, accessibility. And I believe this is one of the reasons why it's becoming more topical for businesses to be setting and quantifying social sustainability aspects. And increasingly, investors are seeking well-building standards or similar accreditations so that they can provide quantifiable frameworks around the idea of social sustainability. So COVID has accelerated the need to build wellness into the real estate, and it will become even more important in terms of access to metrics and tracks, light, noise, building ventilation, air filtration, and extended cleaning. So PropTech and MedTech will be the next generation of smart buildings, and this will allow operators, occupiers to make real-time data-driven decisions. So obviously, healthy building is not new. Everyone, we've been going through this transformation of this notion of working from anywhere and how we work, and the pandemic has actually accelerated the digital transformation of a business and brought individual health and well-being to the forefront as a critical priority. Employees are expecting a safe, productive, seamless experience wherever they work. So when we, of course, come out of the pandemic, there hasn't been a better time to be focused on our health and well-being. So we're involved in repositioning an existing 1970s business centre in Liphook. Typically, this location is £12 to £15 per square foot. However, this building, we're trying to develop a strong ecosystem at GU30 where individuals want to come to work. So it's 6 buildings which can be let on an individual basis or a HQ up to 62,000 square feet on 6 acres. It's a scheme in Hampshire which we are repositioning and focus on creating space that supports agile and collaborative working whilst being heavily focused on health and well-being. Imagine outdoor eateries in shipping containers, a mini box park, pop-up markets, showcasing Wimbledon on the lawn, strawberries that you've picked from the vegetable gardens, soaking up the rays on deck chairs, yoga in the courtyards. What's been evident with this is that we've had huge amount of response, which we actually didn't really think that we could do because it's Liphook, which is in the middle of nowhere, but actually it's 7 minutes to London, to the train station at Liphook, sorry, which is 1 hour up to London, sorry, otherwise that'd be amazing. But obviously but people are brought into this vision. People want an environment that they can say to their employees, look, we want you back in the office, this is what we're going to create, and we're investing in our staff. Obviously, to sustain a development of this nature, we have to push rents from that £15 per square foot up to £25 per square foot. And there are businesses that are willing to commit to that. And majority of the inquiries that we had are that 5 to 25,000 square feet, so not necessarily the bottom end. So to conclude, to understand the future of offices, we need to understand what individuals want and need from their workplace. So it's that face-to-face contact, a place to create a community where they can connect and collaborate, least flexibility, reduce occupational costs, healthy focus, pandemic-proof, just to name a few. I want to share with you an interesting quote from Jeff Bezos from Amazon, who said, "One thing I love about customers is that they are divinely discontent. Their expectations are never static, they go up. It's human nature." So if businesses and landlords do not adapt their real estate, it's very likely that they will get left behind. The competition is fierce. You're no longer just competing with offices in the region, but throughout the whole of the UK and even globally. And it's not just offices you're competing with now, it's service offices, co-working, hotels, co-living and homes. So you need to understand your clients, your employees, what is driving them and what are they trying to achieve. And it's clear that we're navigating the unknown and it's easy to make bold statements of what the future will be. But based on the endless studies that have been carried out, employees are driving the change. And whether you're a business owner, a manager, a landlord, you have to listen to your users because the employees are embracing this adaptive approach that allows an office to learn right alongside the people inside. Thank you. Amazing. Thank you.